We've talked a lot about funding.
Mm-hmm.
What are some other common situations or questions that you get? And maybe funding is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is marketing something? Is, employees? I don't know, overhead, pricing. Like, what are common questions that you get?
Yes, we do get a lot of that. But honestly, and we do have training for all of those things that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So anything from how to get a loan, how to start the process, to some of the best marketing techniques for you that are out there. We have specifically on how to work with the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
We don't tell you how to do your taxes, but working with the IRS as a small business owner can be difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So we just had that one. We talk about, we work with veterans on how to start small businesses. Some of the benefits that are available to veterans in this state and in this country.
Yeah.
We work with them, we work with businesses on how to start contracting. So there is a very large federal bill that just got passed. It's the infrastructure bill. And all that money is now being dispersed to the states. Well, it's not coming through our agency, it's coming through Department of Transportation. We can help businesses get to that point. So a lot of the questions that we get, if we get one that's, I want to start a business, or I don't know, what's the best way to market, we'll send them to SCORE,
Mm-hmm.
or we'll send them to another partner organization that has that best information. Grow Nebraska, Janelle, she's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And all that. So we have the women's business centers. We have relationships out there for those questions.
Mm-hmm.
So if we get one, that's where they go.
Got it.
To the people who do those.
Got it.
So like I said, we're the coordinator. And if we start to get a lot of questions in a certain topic and we not sure who is doing the education on that, we create it. So we just got asked to create a presentation on disasters, emergency planning. In 2019, this state got inundated with flooding.
Mm-hmm.
That had never happened in most people's lives.
Right.
On the rivers that most people would not have assumed would flood
Yeah.
the way that they did.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it was sudden. It's not like a tornado where it's like, oh, it's May, gotta watch out. It's
Right.
like, this was March.
Yeah.
And
July too.
Yeah. We've had several floods that come through here, and it's just like, oh, for goodness sakes. So it's, what do you need to do to prepare for that?
Yeah.
So we just did a series of presentations on that.
Yeah.
So there's still, the funny thing is that, people forget. It's like, yeah, I know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you really?
Right. Yeah.
And obviously we just went through one of the largest disasters that could never have been predicted.
Yeah.
The pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how quick people forget about that. Because
Yes.
that came out of nowhere. There's nothing that you could do. And for many businesses and people in general, there was no control over the situation. There was, it was mandates and rules and regulations, and whether you were prepared or not, or just started your business or not,
Right.
or whatever it was. But it'll be interesting to see, when you look at the financial side of it and just being prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully we don't forget too soon just what that did.
Well, I hope not. There are a lot of people who, let's get back to normal. Well, there is no normal anymore. There's a new normal, and that's another phrase that people are getting tired of. What's the new normal? It's like, well, it's business. Things have changed, right? The thing about the pandemic was it didn't happen because, like the flooding, you can map out where that happened.
Right.
And parts of us didn't get impacted by it.
Right.
It's like, oh my gosh, that's horrible. That's so sad. It's like, what are these people going to do? Oh, look at those cows. There's a lot of sympathy and empathy going on. Pandemic, worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people who have no idea what that did. Well, they know what it did to supply chain, but they have no idea how supply chain works.
Right.
So therefore, all of a sudden, it's like, well, why can't I get my peanut butter? Because the jars that you put them in come from somewhere across the sea, and those ships are out in the ocean.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I don't understand that. Okay, well, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
it's a lot of education that has to happen in a very short amount of time.
Right.
To how everything works, and in order for people to fully understand it. And so hopefully to your point is, the hope is that through this process, they learned a few things about how things work, how some of their processes that they had in place prior didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
They were there for convenience, or because I love this one, that's the way we have always done it.
Yeah, it's a deadly phrase.
It is. It's like, well, now all of a sudden, it's like, okay, people realize it's like, oh, I don't really need to have a restaurant open. I can actually make money selling it out of my door or out of a window and still do okay. Not like I did before, but I don't have the overhead. Now I get it. We lose employees that way. There's a lot of things that we lose. Not all that. Doesn't mean that it has to stay that way, but hopefully they were able to see how things could be done differently. And allow them to be still a good entrepreneur and hopefully still a good boss. I mean, we had some businesses who had to shut down from time to time, or for that amount of time, but when they were able to go back and do their job, they could do it well. There were parts of this country that never shut down. And there were parts of the world that never shut down. And
I think for a business owner, that the pandemic is, it's interesting because I think there were, from a business standpoint, and even a consumer standpoint, there were a lot of things that changed that businesses are better for. And consumers learn to do things differently, and I think going forward, we're gonna be better for it. Changing the ways that it had always been done, and being able to do things, and find a way to do things differently. To take the time to really maybe analyze your business and figure out how you're gonna make